Good evening, this is Sandra Jack Shaw here with Arty Artzo Productionz in collaboration with ProductionLiveOnline.com. I'm at the Hanson Public Library with Mr. Bob Halloran and his lovely daughter Grace. Good evening, Bob, how are you?
Doing very well, thanks.
Now you were here doing a book read. You've written many books. Can you tell me how you got interested in writing books in the first place?
I think it was my first love and first passion that I never really followed through on. When I was a youngster, maybe first, second, third grade, I knew that I was going to be a sports writer. That was my goal. I wanted to be in Sports Illustrated. I thought those guys had the best jobs where they went to the great events and then they had time to write long form as opposed to like a beat reporter. And I said, well, I'm going to be a writer. And then I got to college and still was moving in that path. And then I got to the radio and TV stations at college and started having fun playing with the toys. And my first job out of school happened to be in television, so that was where the career went. Very fortunate that it went well, but then kind of in the back of my mind was, weren't you going to be a writer? And so when I got the job at Channel 5, which is 3 days a week, sometimes more, but it's a regular 3 days a week, I had time. And I said, well, here we go. So I gave myself a writing assignment. I wrote Destiny Derailed about the 2003 Red Sox. Found out that I could follow through on a major commitment like that. And then I started writing the other books, which included Irish Thunder, Breakdown, and The Fellowship of the No Longer Miserable.
Do you watch your father write a lot? Do you see him writing? And what do you think of his work, Grace?
It's great.
Of course he is. What child doesn't think his father, her father is great?
Well, Fellowship of the No Longer Miserable is one that she could read. The other, well, and Destiny Derailed. The other two, Irish Thunder and Breakdown, she can't read until she's 21. There's
Little dicey language.
Yeah. It's very raw and very real in sections and stuff. And in fact, only my 21-year-old has read either of those two, and I don't even think my son Daniel, who's going to be 17, has read Irish Thunder yet.
Wow. Well, you know, that's, you tell it like it is. You write it like it is. That's why.
I let the people I interview tell the story, which, you know, I think it was a good decision for those stories. But every once in a while, I think maybe I should be putting a little bit more of my own perspective on it to help the reader along, as opposed to just laying it out there and letting everybody decide for themselves, good, bad, guy, you know, good event, funny story, not, or whatever. I think if I put a little bit of my voice into the next one, it might serve a purpose, and I might try that a little bit. I certainly was trying that in the true crime novel I started, that I don't know that I'll ever finish, but I was at least attempting a different style.
A true crime novel, yeah. Well, this would be fiction then, as opposed to reality.
Well, it would be based on a story and an investigation in Schuylkill Haven, Pennsylvania. The story was brought to me through various channels that I thought were so unique that it was almost like karma was saying you should write this story. And so I went to Pennsylvania. I met with the investigating officer. Gave me a lot of information. It's about a story of a boy who went missing and was found dead, and his case was not solved for 23 years. So a lot of things happened. Turns out the killer was living in the community still. So it was interesting, and but it does, because I don't have enough real information, I do have to imagine some of it, conversations that the killer would have had with friends and things like that, which I thought was very interesting. I was entertained by the writing process as opposed to it being a little bit more laborious.
Yeah, well, the other books that you've written are definitely more biography.
Right. Irish Thunder with about Micky Ward is a true story. If I was given the information, or if I saw it firsthand, it got in the book. The same is true with Breakdown. Only what I saw and was told, and the quotation marks and the sources for everything, that's all true.
Very good. Well, so you feel that your writing has progressed?
Yeah, I do, and I kind of kick myself, because when I talk to high school and college kids, they say, you know, you got to be writing all the time. They say, if you were going to try to be a baseball player, wouldn't you be swinging the bat every day and taking ground balls and things? I say, you got to be practicing. If you want to be a good professional writer, you got to write all the time. And then I don't write all the time. So, but when you're writing a book, it's such a long process. You are writing all the time. So now that I'm 4 books into it, I feel like I'm a little bit better, and part of me wants to take another shot at Irish Thunder. I would do things differently. I like the opening pages and stuff. I wouldn't change those. That's really how the book got published.
Could you do a rewrite?
No, I don't know that I'd get into that or anything, but I think I'd like to tackle other subjects at some point. But it's so intimidating to try to write a book. It's like, I ran the Boston Marathon a couple of years ago,
wow.
and the first step in the training process, you're like, this is crazy. And then you do it, and you go, okay, that was wonderful. I'm proud of myself. Same thing with a book. It's like the first interview, the first phone call, the first words you type into the Microsoft Word document. It just feels like I'm never going to finish this thing. And I feel a little bit like with the true crime novel, like I've quit. And I don't like that feeling, so I'm going to have to.
Maybe just a lull. It's just you're.
Just
it's just a lull
while I raise the 4 kids.
Yeah. Well, that's you're a family man too. You work for WCVB Channel 5 as a sportscaster.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got a lot of interest. We're getting annoyed by the mosquitoes here.
But when I'm interested, I certainly find the time. So procrastination is a choice more than anything, and so I feel like. Right now I'm working on the screenplays that may or may not go anywhere, but
I can introduce you to a few people.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm ready with this one I'm writing right now, which is a romantic comedy that I'm very happy with to this point.
Oh, romantic comedy.
Yeah. And that's kind of my best friend's wedding. But a beautiful young Chinese girl is going to bring the couple together. And so I think that's an area that hasn't really been pursued in Hollywood yet, with all the adoptions that have gone on and stuff. And so and I was inspired by this young lady.
Inspiration. We want to know what inspires you, yes. Well, that's great.
You never know what inspires you. People come to you all the time, you should write a book about this, and you should write a book, and I'm not interested. You should write, that sounds like a good idea. And that's what really happened with Breakdown, was somebody saw the story of the police officer in the Boston Globe who was coaching the high school team, and all the things that he was doing, and I went to him and said, can I follow your team for a year and kind of do a Friday Night Lights? And he said, sure. And I found a very good story.
I'm just trying to manage the mosquitoes here.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel badly for Breakdown in the respect that I think that it's, in some ways, it's a better book than Irish Thunder. Irish Thunder is selling a lot better because of the movie and all that kind of excitement. But I wish that people who have read Irish Thunder, if they liked it even a little bit, would pick up Breakdown, because I think they'd like that more.
Well, they need to think about the author of Irish Thunder as opposed to the subject.
Right.
And then try some of the other work. I don't think that we can continue with this interview much longer because the mosquitoes are getting pretty nasty. We wanted to do a nice outside interview with you, but unfortunately now that it's gone up, poor Grace.
Poor Grace.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for interviewing with us. I'm so sorry about the mosquitoes.
Thank you. You're doing a great job. It was a very engaging conversation.
Well, we wanted to know about you. I mean, we know about your books and we know about The Fighter, and we've gotten very close, I have anyway, with Micky O'Keefe. He's become a very good friend of mine.
Great.
And when I mentioned that I was coming here to interview with you, he said, oh, I know Bob very well. He says, I know Bob well. And then you mentioned tonight that he drove you around when you were doing the biography.
Yeah, he's very helpful. Very nice guy, and he really knew the story, and he really opened up, and he really gives Micky all the credit, and Micky gives him a lot of the credit, so it's a nice relationship for the two Mickeys.
Yeah. Well, Micky O'Keefe is being awarded with a bobblehead doll next week, I think it is, and he's asked me to come up there and cover that, so I think that will be extremely enjoyable.
Is that like a Spinners game or something, or somewhere in Lowell?
Yeah, it's up in Lowell. It's the money, the ticket sales go to charity, and they're awarding him with the bobblehead. I think it's his fellow police officers or whatnot.
That's wonderful. Good. I bet it'll look exactly like him. I can see him as a bobblehead.
Yes. Well, that's what I'll show him this interview. He'll be coming here to Hanson on Saturday night, which he doesn't. He thinks this is the end of the world too, especially being from Lowell.
Right.
Oh God. Well, thank you. Have a great night. I hope you go home fairly mosquito bite free.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Thank you, Grace. You're awfully pretty. Well, have a good night, Bob. I look forward to more of your work.
Thank you very much.
And again, this is Sandra Jack Shaw with Artzo Productionz in collaboration with ProductionLiveOnline.com. Thank you.